Hi, I'm Kenny, and I am the DM for Fables of Frost and Fur. And I am joined by my lovely cast,
Carmen, Kaylee,
Matt.
And we are so excited for you to listen to our first episode of Fables of Frost and Fur. Thank you so much for tuning in. And so many cool things we want to do and show you. But for this episode, it focused primarily on the character of Poppy, who is portrayed by Carmen. Carmen, what can we expect from this episode?
blood, sweat, and literal tears. No, seriously, join in for quite the harrowing tale of a girl chosen by destiny and having to navigate her way through it with her mysterious and beguiling companions.
And remember, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. Every single one matters to us, and it helps us go a long way. Now, please enjoy the show. The calm waters of the wondrous sea stretch out like a living canvas, an infinite expanse of blues and greens that swallow the horizon and bleed into the eternal night sky. Waves gently crash, their crests spraying effervescent mist of shimmering primordial magic, only to dissolve back into the dark depths. There is no land in sight, just the ceaseless whisper of the wind and the soft, gentle sigh of the sea. Floating in the glowing waters are the bodies of countless animals. Horses with their legs broken, cats with their innards split open, great birds with their wings torn off, and in the center, a pillar of light extending upwards into the boundless sky. A wolf and a she-wolf, with fur as black as night, walk on the surface of the sea. They are covered in cuts, bites, and blood and limp their way towards a lion with brilliant fur of gold and a mane of crimson rubies, solemnly sitting on the waters at the edge of the light. The wolf silently walks past the lion into the pillar of light and disappears. But the she-wolf turns to look at the carnage of bodies bobbing up and down the waters around her. She speaks to the lion. Surely there must have been a better way. The lion doesn't look at her, his eyes fixed on the pillar of light. They'll reform soon enough, though I suspect they'll be quite angry. Do you think they'll honor the agreement? They must. We'll all have to start over again if they don't. None of us want that. The she-wolf considers a response, but shakes her head and jumps into the pillar. The lion takes another moment to look into the light. His eyes well with pearlescent tears. Finally, we are free. The morning mist clings to the forest trees like a forgotten dream as a teenage boy quietly moves through a small wooden house overlooking the humble village of Ardino. The scent of pine and damp earth fill the air, mingling with the faint odor of whiskey that hangs around his father's slumbering figure. The boy's bare feet barely make a sound on the worn wooden floor and neglected rugs as his hands work methodically, sweeping away the remnants of his father's attempts to drown his pain. Careful not to disturb the hulking man before all is ready. His heart thuds in his chest as he approaches the sagging armchair where his father lies, a hollow figure, lost to restless sleep. Papa? Papa, wake up. It's morning. He shakes his father. A groan is heard from the man as he turns and twists until finally his eyes bolts open and he keels over the armchair and he vomits all over the floor and onto his clothes. Papa, it's okay. Hey, just sit up, Papa. I've got you. He turns his head, and the teenage boy, his face twisted with pain, calls out upstairs. Poppy? Poppy, can you come down here? Papa needs you. Poppy!
Excitement and fear were two sides of the same coin. And for Poppy, it was an endlessly spinning, flipping copper piece. As she sat in front of the mirror in her small bedroom, she stared at the reflection gleaming back at her. The soft waves of ginger hair, the freckled face, deep green eyes. She could barely recognize her own reflection there. Had 22 years of her life already passed by? It hardly seemed possible, but her reverie was suddenly snapped. The sound of her brother downstairs calling back to her, and Poppy shot up immediately, opening the bedroom door. Fern? Yeah, what's going on?
Papa's made a mess.
A mess?
I need you to help me. I can't pick him up, Poppy, please.
Yeah, I'll be right there. I was just getting ready. Quickly pulling that strawberry blonde hair into a ponytail, she hurries down the steps, knowing very well what a mess meant nowadays for her father. Oh, Pa, is he up?
I don't think he's quite there yet, but please, can you just help me get him out of this armchair, please?
Yeah, I can. We should have some water ready. Definitely needs to drink.
Okay, grab him some water then, Poppy. Come on.
Fern. Going to the other side of her father, she abandons all thought of the water and quickly heaves up him from under the shoulder. Are you lifting?
As Poppy lifts up her father, this hulking man, 6'2", 200 pounds of muscle. Well, used to be 200 pounds of muscle. Nowadays, since the death of his wife, there's a lot less muscle and a lot more beer gut. You lift him up, and Fern rushes to the front door and opens it. As he does, the morning light floods your home. What was once clearly a beautiful and well-tended home with trophies from hunts and beautiful furs lining the walls and wonderful carpets from traders passing by have all fallen into disarray. The rugs are stained, the walls haven't been cleaned, and there's dust in the air. As the light fills the room, Poppy carries her father out to the front of the house, to their well. And as she does so, he seems to regain a bit of consciousness as he takes his hands and clasps them at the side of his well, trying to regain his balance. Poppy, have you finished chores yet?
Yeah, Pa, it's late in the morning now. They've been done. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, but you need your feet. He takes a moment, clearly discombobulated, before taking a deep breath and saying, "Is today the day?"
Today's the day, Pa.
All right. You've been training for this. You know exactly how to hunt, and you know exactly how to be the best. And I expect the best. He begins to regain himself. All signs of the sickness start to wear off as he lifts up a pail from the well. He takes a big swig of it, splashes it across his face and his clothes, still reeking of alcohol and vomit. He He wipes his mouth with his forearm, and he says, "All right, I need to get changed, but you." He looks at Poppy, and for a split second, he says, "Imogene, did you get breakfast?" Poppy, did you cook breakfast yet?
No, Pa, I haven't gotten to that yet, but I'll do it. I got eggs from the coop this morning. They're all ready, so why don't you just go get yourself fussed up, huh?
As the two of you re-enter the home, your brother, who also has a mess of strawberry blonde hair, just like yours, cropped short, his young face barely growing in facial hair that you have told him countless times to shave, and he just refuses to. He looks back up at you with wide eyes, silently asking you if your father is okay.
Poppy gives him just the slightest of head nods, imperceptible to anyone that hadn't cultivated the relationship that her and her brother had for the past 3-4 years now. A slow, gained give and take between them, knowing exactly how to care for their quickly devolving father. And as she makes her way past him into the kitchen, she shoots back at him. "Just make sure he gets up the stairs, please."
Yeah, I got it. I got it from here. As the three of you go about your morning, a anxiousness wells up in Poppy's heart. Today's the day that she becomes a full-fledged huntsman. A trial awaits her. How does she feel?
Horrified, excited, so many emotions as she now cracks the eggs over the skillet on the somehow magically infused stove. It was recently installed, and Poppy still quite doesn't understand it. Much different than what her mother used to work on. And as the eggs sizzle beneath her, she thinks, this is the day she gets to prove herself. Prove everything she has been training for. This is the day she's been dreaming of.
She finishes up breakfast, and her father regains a bit more of the decorum that he has been struggling to maintain in these past few years. The three of you silently eat breakfast when there's a sudden knock at your door. The three of you look at each other. Cyril, your father, says, "Were you expecting any company this morning?"
No, surely not. Could it be Peter?
Yeah, it probably is. Your father stands up, a bit annoyed, and he walks over to the front door. And as he does so, he stops for a moment, and he smiles. He rushes over to the door, and he opens it. Ha ha! Mon ami. Bonjour to you too. You bastard. Would it kill you to give me a bit of warning before you come so I clean up?
And now when have I ever done that?
Matt, would you care to describe your character?
You know the phrase, that's a man I can get a beer with? It's kind of like the embodiment of that. He's tall, but he doesn't always look as tall as he is because he stands in such a relaxed, easygoing manner. And that's just kind of flows through the entirety of the man. Sort of messy, sandy hair. There's a sword on his left hip. Cyril would recognize from the first time he and Harlan met. When Harlan was a young frost guard and Cyril was a young huntsman. A little scar on his right cheek. Cyril knows when he got that scar. And just everything about him exudes a kind of peacemaking and wanting to put people at ease. Look at you. What's this? What's this here? And he pokes playfully at Cyril's gut.
Yeah, all right. Don't make fun of me. Give it a couple years. You'll be looking the exact same thing, too. Come on in. What are you doing? Get in here, you. Get in here. Kids, Uncle Harlan's here.
Uncle Harlan? Poppy's shooting up out of her seat, rushing into the room. You didn't say you were coming.
Do you think I would miss this for the world?
I know you're busy. I know
Come on, girl.
your wares. I know you're always roaming about. I didn't think you'd have time to make it back.
Well, I made time.
And at that, she rushes over towards him and engulfs him in a hug.
He whispers, "Is he any better?"
No. I think it's worse by the day.
All right. Fern? Look at you. Sprouting up like a weed.
Hey, Uncle Harlan. And he very, very awkwardly hugs you. You can tell he really wants to hug you like a child, just wrap his arms around you, but he's gotten to that age where, like, he kind of has to be cool. And so he just, like, awkwardly does his arm thing where he, like, doesn't know what to do with them. In the end, much to your amusement, he gives you a side hug.
I pull him fully in.
Oh, okay.
And just squeeze him hard, smack him on the back.
Oh, hey, Uncle Harlan. It's good to see you, too.
You been keeping up with your sword work?
He looks back over to his father, who is luckily quite distracted with making sure there's a plate for Harlan. And he says, in a very hushed tone, I've been trying in my spare time when Papa's not looking, but you know he doesn't like that sword stuff. He wants me working with the guns instead.
Well, why not both? You can never be too prepared.
That's what I'm saying.
All right. Just imagine hiding things from your paws. Not as hard as it used to be.
No, he's, Uncle Harlan, will you talk to him? Just help him out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
The four of you take a seat, smiles all around. Cyril plates some eggs for Harlan, and he sits down next to him. All right, you old bastard. Apart from Poppy's trial today, what else is new in the world?
Oh, what else could be more important than that?
Now, come on. You know we don't get out of here. You travel all over. Tell us what's going on.
Oh, nothing that exciting. You know, everything really important happens right here.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it?
It is. And I'm sorry, haven't been around as much as I'd want to.
That's okay.
No.
That's okay. You're a busy man. We get it, right, kids? We understand, right?
Yeah, of course we do. Yeah.
Yeah, Uncle Harlan, that's okay.
You know there's no place in the world I'd rather be.
I don't know, Harlan. It's a pretty bold claim. It's a big world.
Yeah, it's a big world, but there's only one Ardino.
Yeah, it's only one Ardino. And we have to protect it. Isn't that right, kids?
Yeah, that's right. And that's what we're trying to do today.
That's right. I'll tell you what, Harlan. You know what you missed? There have been rumors. About down south in Wolfhold. Apparently, they spotted a bunch of unbranded slaves down there. Yeah, some wolfkins just running about in a little gang. You know, you ask me, that's a telltale sign. That's some Pat Rouge right there. It's only a matter of time before they come back up here. And you know what? I'll be ready, Harlan. I got my rifle right here, and I'm ready for them. So I dare them to come. Isn't that right, kids? We'll shoot them dead the moment they cross. Is that right?
Poppy, who has heard this exact tirade 5 times over at this point, just barely looks up from her eggs. That's right, Paul.
Yeah, that's right.
You're gonna have to get rid of that gut first, buddy.
You laugh, but I don't need a pristine six-pack to murder some mongrels on my territory. I dare them. I dare them to come. Doesn't matter how bad of shape I'm in. Huh. How about you, Harlan? You been hearing about any more of the Pat Rouge?
Oh, nothing more than normal. I think we gotta trust that the Queen has it in hand. I think that's what we gotta do. Prepare, you know? Keep safe. Maybe get into better shape. But,
All right, I get it. Laugh all you want. All right. The 4 of you continue to laugh and joke throughout the morning. Until eventually, you hear from outside the sound of wheels. Cyril looks curiously at Harlan and says, "You brought company?"
That's not me.
All right, get up, kids. Let's check this out.
All right.
The four of you stand up, put your plates away, and you step outside. And as you step outside, it is now mid-morning in the village of Ardino, this quaint little town, the edge of the queendom of Grendel. A forest borders her to the north, and fields of grain border her to the south. He has rolling, verdant green hills and pitch-perfect weather. It is an idyllic landscape, has always been an idyllic landscape. And as you step out into the village and walk towards the village square, the sounds of the people of Ardino can be heard shouting over each other, exclaiming new prices or gossiping way too loud and laughing of news about their relatives in other parts of the wildlands. And the sounds of children running around, playing and laughing throughout the square. And as the four of you reach this village square, this clearing of dirt and stone surrounded by various carts and stalls of vendors, the cobblers, the leather workers, the clothiers, the blacksmith, you peer down the main road that leads south. And you see a curious sight. Peering down the southern road, you see a contingent of a dozen men and women in dark blue uniforms with rifles shouldered, leading a horseless carriage that just sort of wheels its way towards your village. As they come closer, the men slow their march, and you can see that this carriage has no horses attached to it, and yet it moves. Its locomotion powered by the same ambient magic technology that powers Poppy's new stove. And on top of this carriage is an open cage of iron bars. Inside of it are a half dozen people, a mixture of cat ears, lion ears, wolf ears, and furry tails. These are beastkin. And as they get closer, you can see on their faces are these horrific branded scars. Straight lines across their right cheek with intersecting parallel lines that all of you know are added onto a slave to denote how many times a slave has run away or how dangerous a slave generally is. And as the carriage strolls through the village square, the beastkin inside of this carriage spot the villagers who have gathered around, and they reach their hands out and they cry, "Please, please, messieurs, madames, please help us, please, don't let them take us, please help us." They reach out their hands, but they are met with scorn. Several people, including Cyril, spit on these beastkin and jeer at them as the carriage rolls through. One of the men, in blue, walks up to the crowd of people and says, "Bonjour, messieurs and madames. I apologize for the interruption to your morning. May I speak to the echevin of this town?" At this, Cyril brushes off his vest and straightens his shirt, trying to seem like he wasn't completely hungover this morning. He steps in front of the man and says, "Yep, that'd be me. I'm the echevin of Ardino. To what do I owe the pleasure of the Queen's Frostguard?" And the man in blue responds, a pleasure to meet you, monsieur. I apologize for the interruption. We will be making just a quick, brief stop to inspect our horseless carriage, but we will be quickly on our way, and we will be making our way through your village, through the forest, and on to Aurora. Again, I do apologize, and the Queen thanks you for your understanding and your patience. Oh, nope, that's perfectly fine. Queen's will and all that. God's bless you, sir, for doing your job, and, I gotta know. What are these mongrels doing? Where'd you get them from? And at this, you see the man in the uniform look around at his men, and you see him sort of relax a little bit. Gets closer to Cyril, and the three of you can overhear this conversation. Just runaway slaves, the usual. These idiots think they can get far away enough, but we always catch them, and we always send them right back. And don't worry, they get punished real good for running away. And at this, Cyril nods his head solemnly, takes another look at them, spits on them again. Well, if you need anything, monsieur, you let me know. The village of Ardino is at the Queen's beck and call. Thank you, monsieur. I appreciate that. Thank you. We shall be resting here for just a bit, and we shall be quickly on our way. And at this, he turns and he walks back towards the way they came. The four of you hadn't noticed this before, but there's actually another carriage. Except this one isn't an open cage. It's actually an enclosed sort of carriage, and much like the one in front, also doesn't have a horse attached to it. He walks over, and he opens the carriage door and holds his hand out and says, "Madame, we have arrived." A gloved, delicate hand reaches out to meet his, and he guides her down the steps of the carriage. Haley, would you care to describe your character?
A woman steps out of the carriage and into the full gaze of everyone watching. She is oozing class, the kind of effortless elegance that only real power can buy. When she enters a room, it would seem that she could steal the very breath from candles. Fine lines around her mouth and her eyes don't diminish this effect. Maturity becomes her, as affinage for a fine wine. She smiles widely at the beautiful morning, at the village, at the captain himself, as he takes her gloved hand and helps her delicately down from the carriage. Merci, monsieur. It was a lovely ride through the countryside. You must look me up if you are ever in Vienne. And she takes out from her personal bag a little card with the most permanent address that she keeps and hands it to him. If you're ever in Vienne, of course.
Yes, madame. We are honored to be your escorts of one of such prestige and class as you. No, I cannot possibly take. Okay, I'll take it. Thank you. He takes the card in both hands and just reverently puts it into the pocket of his military coat. And he says, Madame, are you sure you do not wish to continue with us to Aurora? No offense to the people here, but it's a bit of a backwater town. Are you sure this is where you wish to stop?
Nonsense, Jacques-Pierre, how dare you? Ardino is renowned for the quality of its furs, and the Carusi family must have the best.
Of course. I should not have questioned it. I'm so sorry, madame. Again, thank you so much for traveling with us, and I bid you adieu. He sort of stumbles and he trips over a rock, and he definitely falls a little bit like a 3-point landing, and he looks up and his men just like whip their heads away, trying to pretend like they didn't see him just completely biff it. He stands up and he just like walks really, really, really quickly towards the front again, and he says, "All right, men, and we march again." They continue their march, both carriages following behind them. As they exit through the north end of the village, the sounds of the pleas of the beastkin in the cages can still be heard all the way to the edge of the forest. Cyril turns to Harlan and says, I'm sorry, were you also expecting guests here?
I very much was not. But a guest like this is certainly welcome. And he takes off his well-loved beat-up hat, does a little bow and says, well, welcome, mademoiselle.
The fabled hospitality of Ardino. It's been too many years since I've been back. It's a charming pleasure, of course. My name is Vienne.
I'm Harlon. It's very nice to meet you.
My name's Cyril. Welcome, Madame Vienne. I am the echevin of this village. These are my children, Fern and Poppy.
Poppy is now kind of peeking out from behind Harlan, not much to ever put the spotlight on herself, but as she takes in Vienne and all the wonder that she is, her face just goes pink, and whatever introduction she was going to say dies in her throat as she opens her mouth.
Your children are beautiful, Cyril.
Thank you, Madame.
And she reaches out and touches Poppy fondly on the cheek. You must know all the best shops in town, my dear. I insist that you tell me.
Well, we don't have much in...
Actually, Madame, I am so sorry to interrupt. My daughter actually has a lot to prepare for today. Today is her big trial that she has to pass. Isn't that right, Poppy?
Yes, yeah, that is true, Pa. Yeah.
Which means that you should go along and get ready, right? I mean, you've got maybe an hour or two.
Don't remind me.
Yeah, I won't, because you're going to go right now, right?
All right,
you go on, you get.
Yep. With one last glance towards the beautiful woman, Poppy just kind of skitters awkwardly back into the house, grabbing Fern by his collar as well and dragging him along.
As the two of you go off, Cyril, Harlan, and Vianne are left in the center. Cyril looks at Harlan and says, listen, Harlan, I hate to do this to you, but I've got to prepare for the trial too. I've got some things to set up. I've got to make sure the dough are ready to be released. So if you would excuse me, Madame, I apologize. I normally would be a lot more inviting, but you've come to us on a very important day for our village, and it's a bit of tradition, you understand. So if you would excuse me, Madame, I bid you adieu.
But of course.
Harlan, would you show her around and keep her company?
Yeah, try and stop me.
Hey, you don't scare her off, okay? You are a representative of my home now. You better not scare her off.
You know I'm not really from here, but sure.
All right, I bid you adieu, Madame.
And Vienne offers her arm to Harlan. The contrast of fabric and textures between this soft, velvety woman dripping in finery and pearls and Harlan is probably a little distinct. It's rough burlap on satin. But she looks just as home here as she would in the finest ball. Her eyes light up as she looks around the town, and she gestures towards the bustling city center.
Now, of course, he takes her arm, and as they walk towards the city center, he goes, now, did you say that you've been here before?
It's been years, Harlan, not since I heard there was a terrible fire. Broke my heart.
Yeah, there was. I wasn't here for that either. So you're saying you were here before then?
Yes. I'm something of a native between Vienne and Portuglas, so travel through Ardino is on my usual route. But this time I've been sent as a buyer, so... And she suggestively clinks a rather heavy coin purse. I am hoping that we may be able to make the most of the day before you are called away to that charming girl's important ceremony. What a lovely smile she has.
Oh yeah, no. Our little pit pup is she's very special. Now, I can show you around to the local. You said furs? Is that what you're looking for?
The Caruzis have never been invited to the Queen's Winter Ball before. I'm afraid they will be woefully underdressed unless they have Ardino's finest, you understand?
Oh, I think I do. I'm something of a merchant myself. But the important thing today, of course, is the trial, which You sound like you've never seen it before. Have you heard of it? You can't miss it. It is something.
Is this an invitation?
Well, I don't know if you need an invitation, but yeah, no, if you want to come with me.
Only if I can be your guest, Monsieur Harlan.
Well, you're very welcome to be.
As we flash over to Poppy, we see her preparing the necessary equipment that she's going to need for this trial. She has been preparing for this her whole life, and it is a rite of passage that every huntsman takes. And as she exits her home, says goodbye to Fern as he continues on with his chores, she steps back out into the village, and as she does so, she sees a furry head pop out of a neighboring house, looking towards the city center and checking to see if the unannounced guests are gone. Coming out of the blacksmith's home, a young man with wolf ears and a fluffy wolf tail, with forearms as thick as logs. He turns his head over to Poppy's house and makes eye contact with her. He smiles, hint of mischief in his eyes, and wordlessly nods his head towards the edge of the forest.
Without needing any more preamble, Poppy understands and nods her own head in the same direction. There's a skip in her step as her eyes glaze over him one last time, taking in everything about him that has, for the past few years, just matured into the man that he has become. In the excitement of the day, she can't contain the giant smile that breaks across her face now as she scampers along to their very private, very familiar meeting place.
Poppy follows his brown tousled hair and reaches a clearing in the woods that the two of them have used for the past 10 years to meet in secret. And even more so now, since the death of her mother during a beastkin attack a few years ago. Her father has forbidden her from meeting with Lucas, but he knows not of this secret place. The two of you wordlessly stand and watch the waters flow.
This place, this clearing connected to the small river, it became so much more to Poppy than just a secret, clandestine spot. It was safety for a number of years when her father had just begun drinking. As she looks at it now and thinks of him, she could only imagine the anger and shame that would come over him to know that the safest and most at peace she's ever been was these small moments with the beastkin boy at a little river.
He speaks first. Today's the big day. You ready?
Today's the day, Lucas. I don't know if I'm ready, but I am excited, scared. I want it to be over with already.
Nah, you got nothing to be scared of, Sweet Pea. And he turns and he grabs your shoulders and he says, you are the best huntsman in this village. You are the best huntsman in the wildlands, and I have so much faith in you. You're gonna kill it. The trial's so easy compared to what you do every day. It's so easy.
And you, Luke, are a shameless flirt. And she's gonna step up on tippy toes and kiss him right on the cheek. But there is an energy and excitement to her that can't even be contained.
Listen, I made you something.
No, shut up.
Don't worry, my master didn't notice, all right? And as he says this, he actually turns his cheek as he's pulling it out of his pocket. Just as a reminder, you see that slave brand on his face with no parallel lines. He has never tried to run away. He has never been deemed a threat. Just a single straight brand across his right cheek. As he reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a beautiful steel arrowhead shaped specifically for hunting deer. And he hands it over to you and says, listen, you don't have to use it, and I know you probably got your gear in check already, but I would just keep it, all right? Just keep it.
Why wouldn't I? This feels barely legal. I mean, no one else is going to have something made this fine.
No, listen, I'm just the apprentice. Everyone else is using stuff that Pascal's made. I'm sorry, that Master's made. He's so much better than I am. I'm still learning. I don't know, Poppy. I just wanted you to have it, okay?
It means a lot, Lucas. Thank you. Were you given clearance to watch at all?
Let's not think about that.
Okay.
Let's just say that from my window in the workshop, I have a pretty good view of the entrance to the forest, okay?
All right.
I'll ask my master if he would let me come and actually watch, okay?
Well, don't get yourself in trouble.
I mean, how much work can I possibly get done? The trial's not going to be that long. I'll ask, okay? Only if you want me there. Only if you want it.
The thought of you not being there is sending me into more of a panic.
All right. I don't want you to panic. All right, I'm going to ask Master. I'll ask him real nice. I normally never ask of anything, so I'm sure he'll say yes, okay? I'll see you there.
All right. And if, a pebble escapes your grasp in the direction of Adele, it wasn't you that did it. It couldn't have been.
All right, now you're really going to get me in trouble, okay?
I'm kidding.
Her daddy would kill me.
I swear.
The two of you laugh, and he begins to fuss over you, over your belt buckles, your straps, everything that's metal on you. And he sort of takes your hips and he pulls you closer, tugging at the belts, the straps, the leathers, everything, getting very, very close to you and says, all right, I think you're ready to go.
All right. Thank you.
And he gets close to you. And there's this pause between the two of you as he stares at you with his golden eyes, and his ears begin to twitch a little bit. And you have over the years come to recognize that when they twitch in this way, he is very nervous. And he leans in closer and closer to you.
Poppy closes the distance, shooting up to just give him a very chaste, very innocent peck on the lips. But the second she's done, she darts for the forest, back towards the village, and over her shoulder, she calls, "Don't be late!"
As you run back to your village, you find the village square has poles set up with banners and string and little decorations placed everywhere along the houses inside the square of every color, reds, blues, greens, all brilliant, bright colors for this special occasion. As the trial of the huntsman begins, a crowd gathers at the edge of the northern entrance to the village of Ardino that borders the Aubrac forest. As you approach with all your gear, the crowd parts its way, and they tap you on the back, they press your shoulder, and wish you good luck. As you walk up, you see, close to the edge of the forest, your father, who is standing there with a short, balding man, Pierre, who is his right-hand man. And the two of them have between them 4 doe with bright orange ribbons tied to their necks. As you walk up, at the corner of your eye, you spot Uncle Harlon, along with Lady Vienne, arm in arm, as well as your brother, who is watching gleefully with a smile on his lips, uncharacteristically mouthing to you, "Good luck!" And as you approach your father and his right-hand man, to your side, you see 3 other young women. 2 of them are blondes, and you recognize them as Elise, the cobbler's girl, Rhiannon, the baker's girl, and Adele, Pierre's girl. She stands at a quite tall 5'10", with jet black, wavy hair and pale skin and these deep brown eyes. She is typically referred to as the village beauty, although there's nothing quite village about her. She would do quite well in the city. But she looks over her shoulder and finds Poppy's eyes, and she rolls her own and says, "Ugh, of course you're gonna make a grand entrance and be the last one, dirt face. You ready to get beat today?"
Adele, good luck to you too.
As you say this, the other two girls, Elise and Rhiannon, they sort of step by her side and like flank her, and they sort of pop their hips out and they say, "Oh, honey, she doesn't need luck. She's better than you."
Rhiannon, just focus on where your arrow goes, and I'm sure you'll be fine, sweetheart. And Elise, well, you'll do your best out there, right?
And at this, Elise, who's just kind of like spacing off in the distance, goes, "Huh, what? Oh, yeah, good luck to you too, Poppy." At this, Rhiannon sort of like elbows her hard in the side, is like, what are you doing?" "Oh, I mean, we're gonna beat you, yeah."
All right, well, if you have to work as a team to do it, it's not very convincing, is it?
And at this, Adele is furious, and she's going, what is the matter with you? And she just sort of starts berating these other girls. Your father clears his throat. "All right, ladies, congratulations on coming of age. And I want you to know that we are all so proud of you, that you have made it here on this day, and that you are just moments away from proving yourselves as huntsmen of Ardino. You know the rules already, but I'll describe them. Pierre, what is that mongrel doing outside of the workshop?" And he points to someone in the crowd. As everyone turns their head, everyone can see, standing amongst the crowd, Lucas, the wolfkin boy owned by the blacksmith, trying his best to make himself look as small as possible.
Poppy, along with everyone else, turns and her gaze pinpoints on him. Softly, in her head, all she can think is, he came.
A man emerges from behind him, tall, lanky, but very sinewy. You recognize it as Pascal, the blacksmith of Ardino. He steps up, and he just sort of holds his hand up at Cyril and says, "All right, Cyril, look, it's just for a little bit. He just wants to watch. It's an important day for the village, and let's just not make a big fuss about it." No. You know I don't like having your mongrel looking at my girl. You know I don't. Please, Cyril, come on. It's a special day. Just, he's not going to say nothing. He's not going to do nothing. All right, just let him watch. I mean, both of us have been here for more than 10 years, and we just want to feel like we're part of the community, okay? And at this, Cyril breathes hard, furious, and he stares daggers at this wolfkin boy. But eventually he steps back and he relents and he says, fine. But the moment this is over, he goes back to the workshop. Do you understand? That's fine. We just, come on, get on with it. All right. All right, ladies. You know how this works. Your trial is simple. We're going to release these 4 doe. They each have an orange tag on them, and you are each to hunt down one of these doe, field dress them, and carry them back on your own. The first person to come back here with a field-dressed deer gets a prize. And the prize is, he turns to Pierre, and Pierre hands him a box. Everyone in the crowd takes a step forward, craning their necks to try and see. He holds out the box, and he opens it and shows it to the crowd to the sound of gasps and oohs and ahs. Wow. The first lady to come back with a successfully field-dressed deer wins
this revolver, courtesy of our resident blacksmith, Pascal. The crowd is craning their necks looking at this. It is a specimen of marvelous beauty, a revolver with etchings and engravings all along both the wood and the metal of the barrel, with intricate flower carvings around the siphon chambers that draw in ambient magic to form these translucent bullets. There's a handguard across the trigger guard and the base of the pistol, uncharacteristic of any other revolver that anyone has ever seen. It is a true piece of beauty. Your father shuts it again, and he looks at you, and he says, remember, the first one back wins. Now, as for everyone else, as long as you bring back one of the dough, you pass the trial. Ladies, do you understand?
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, monsieur, we understand. He turns and looks at Pierre. He nods to him, and they open the box again, take out the revolver. He pulls back the hammer on the revolver, and a brilliant blue mist swirls around this pistol. It's almost like a vacuum, just sort of sucking in this blue mist into this chamber that has now been opened by the hammer being cocked back. And as it does so, it suddenly shines bright, almost like a light in the night. Your father points it up into the sky, and he pulls the trigger. Crack sounds out throughout the Aubrac forest and the village of Ardino as cheers erupt from the crowd, and the three ladies sprint off into the distance. Poppy, how do you feel?
Overjoyed, overwhelmed. The moment the gunshot goes off, Poppy could swear her heart stops. And she notices her three, basically classmates, trainmates, whatever you would call them, take off, and she's behind. She needs to go. She throws one more look to Uncle Harlan, to Fern, to the new lady she just met, to her father. And finally, last one to Lucas, before she takes off.
As she does so, she can hear, much to her surprise, the sound of a howl. And she recognizes Lucas's howl anywhere, and she knows he's going to get in trouble for it, but the excitement in his voice is palpable as he howls into the sky, excited for Poppy. Poppy takes a step, and then another, and then her legs give out from underneath her. She stumbles, and she lands on her palms as the crowd gasps. She hasn't made it 10 feet before she falls. She doesn't feel anything different, but she can't feel her legs. And then suddenly she can't feel her fingers. And then pain. Horrific, awful pain racks Poppy's body, and she collapses to the ground, convulsing. As the crowd surges forward, the other huntsmen supervising try to keep the crowd back. As Cyril runs up to Poppy, slides on his knees and grabs her and says, Poppy, what's going on? What's wrong? Poppy, what's wrong? Poppy can't answer back. There is too much pain across her body to do anything but scream. And she screams and she screams as her father holds her. And she can feel, starting from her toes, sharp, piercing pain at her tips as she swears she feels blood begin to run inside of her boot. Her fingertips are next as she looks at them, and they just slough off of her fingers. Her nails fall onto the ground, onto the grass, as blood pours from her fingertips. And as they do, she feels a sharp, excruciating pain from each finger as a little piece of bone white spike emerges from her fingertips and becomes bigger and bigger and bigger until they pierce through her skin as she screams out once more, her hands bloodied. But the worst is yet to come. Her face is on fire as she feels the bones in her cheeks and her jaw crack and elongate into a snout. Her nose sloughing off in a mess of blood. And in its place forms this pink, skin-like texture that stretches across what has become a snout more than a jaw. And her ears bleed until they deteriorate and chunks of skin drip down her neck and her hair, and chunks of flesh embed themselves as the hair on the left side of her head changes color from strawberry blonde to dark brunette as her father holds her screaming. And from the tops of her head, fur begins to emerge as an elongated set of ears, bloody and raw and new, like a newborn rabbit, begins to emerge from her head, bloody and soaked. The pain finally stops, but the screams from the crowd do not. Harlan, what are you thinking?
As soon as this started, Harlan started running towards Poppy because how could he not? As this, whatever it is, finishes, he takes off his coat and covers her.
What is Vianne thinking?
You'll know it when you see it, right, mon ami?
As the pain subsides, Poppy opens her eyes, and the world looks different. This daylight, which was normal to her, now becomes almost unbearable. It's too bright. Everything is too exposed. She can't tell shapes apart. It hurts her eyes to open and look around. But she knows something is wrong, and as her eyes focus, she stares up at the face of her father. And his face transitions from that of concern to horror, and finally to hate. As he drops Poppy, stands up and says, "What the hell is this? What the hell is this?" And he staggers back.
Yeah, calm down, sir. Calm down. We don't know what this is, right?
No.
This could be a curse.
No.
This could be... Look, listen to me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. You say nothing. We don't say nothing. Right? We need time to figure out what the hell's going on.
Unaware of completely what just happened to her, outside of the pain and the reconstructing of her body beneath her own skin, she sees her father, his complete rejection, her uncle grabbing him by the shirt, calming him down, but there's nothing but panic in her mind, and as she tries to skitter forward on her hands and knees, the pain is too great. She can't even move an inch, and her voice is hoarse. Words can't get out past the screaming that she just did. And as she begs silently, trying to get any type of noise past her lips, she holds an arm out towards him.
As she does, Cyril breaks from Harlan's grasp, and he bats away Poppy's hand. "No, don't you touch me, you mongrel. Don't you touch me." And he steps back, tears in his eyes, and at the sound of the word mongrel, An audible gasp is heard from the crowd as they surge forward to gawk at what has happened. And as they do, the flash of dark brown fur whizzes past everyone as Lucas runs up to Poppy and he grabs her and says, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you hurt?"
Still no words able to come out past her lips, and she reaches for him now, the only safety, the only reassurance that has come to her now. She grips at his clothes.
Help, help, she needs help. Someone grab the doctor, please.
Harlan runs up to Lucas and grabs him roughly and goes, "You get out of here right now, boy. If you know what's good for you, you get out of here right now."
No, I'm not going anywhere. I can't leave Poppy. I can't leave her here. As he finishes this, Cyril walks over and grabs the boy by his hair, and he yanks him and drags him off of the ground, and he pulls him back towards the crowd, back towards the village square, and the crowds part from him, and he says, You did this, didn't you? I know you had something to do with this. I told you to stay away from my girl. I told you to keep your hands off of my girl. And he drags Lucas, screaming and kicking, back to the village square. The whole entire crowd follows.
Heaving herself up with the last strength she has left in her body, Poppy stumbles just to fall back down, trying to crawl closer to the crowd. Just desperate shouts of, "No, please, Paul, not him!"
As Poppy limps her way to the square, she can see Cyril has grabbed Lucas and pulled him over to a nearby stone bench. And as she approaches, she can hear her father yelling, "Fern! Fern, come over here right now! Right now!" As he reaches into his belt and he unsheaths his hand axe that he always carries. "No, please, monsieur, please, I didn't touch Poppy, please. It wasn't me. Please don't hurt me." You can see Pascal, the blacksmith, the stringy, sinewy, tall man, trying desperately to grab Cyril's arms and prevent him from doing anything rash. "No, please, Cyril, you can't do this. You can't do this. He's my property, and you cannot damage my property. Don't you dare. I've been training that boy for 10 years. I've been training him as a blacksmith for 10 years. Don't you dare do anything to this boy." As Fern steps towards his father, Cyril looks at him, his eyes wide open, and he says, "Fern, grab his arms. Grab his arms right now. Hold him down. Grab his arms."
"Cyril?"
The hulking mass of a man turns his head towards Harlan and says, "No, you stay out of this, mon ami, if you know what's good for you. This is my village. This is Echevon business. You are a guest, Harlan, and you are my friend, but you will remain silent. Fern, hold down his arms right now."
"If you think this boy did something to her, how is he going to tell us anything if he's dead?"
"Oh, don't worry, mon ami. I'm not going to kill him. Hold down his arms, Fern." And at this, Fern grabs Lucas's wrists. He places them over the stone bench. As Lucas sobs, bleeds relentlessly, Cyril looks at the wolfkin, bits in his face, and he raises his hatchet. "Poppy, what is going through your mind?"
Staring at Lucas and seeing the same boy who wouldn't hurt a fly, who has never done anything wrong in his life, but keep his head down and do as he's told. Her lungs ache to scream, to protest once again that he doesn't deserve this. He hasn't done anything wrong, but her voice is hoarse to her own ears, barely a whisper out of her lungs. The pain has not subsided, and every movement against the cold ground is agony in her limbs. Her body, it feels strange, it feels foreign. It's like she can't even command these new muscles, these new bones that now belong to her. And as she tries to take a step forward, she collapses again, arm outstretched now to her father, her brother, her uncle, and the boy that she has loved.
As Poppy reaches out, she gathers all of her strength, and she has enough breath to say one thing. Armin, what does Poppy say?
Anyone but him, Pa. Please, me. I'm the monster. I'm the Mongol, not him.
Armin, I want you to make a persuasion check with disadvantage.
It's a 19 and a 7. And her persuasion is +0.
Cyril turns and looks at Poppy. Hatred and malice in his eyes. He quietly says, I told you to stay away from this boy. And now, you're gonna pay the price.
No.
And he brings down the hatchet and he goes clean through Lucas's left hand. Blood erupts from the wound and stains the stone bench. As Cyril steps back, a crowd surges forward. Women just taking off parts of their aprons and wrapping around the wound and trying to address the wound. Other huntsmen come through the crowd. They remove some of their belts and they wrap it around their arms to try and make a tourniquet and stop the bleeding as the boy screams out and he screams and he screams and he screams. Poppy, you finally begin to regain some semblance of hearing, some semblance of vision as you see Pascal the blacksmith pointing his finger furiously at Cyril's chest, screaming in his face, but you don't hear anything over the sounds of the boy you love screaming. His hand on the ground. The chaos subsides. Cyril pushes past Pascal, and he walks over to Poppy. And wordlessly, he grabs her newly formed rabbit ears and painfully yanks to pull her up. Harlan, you want to be useful? You help me get her up. You help me get her back to the house.
With a grip that is stronger than Cyril's probably expecting. He digs into Cyril's shoulder. You let go right now. I will deal with this.
Cyril is very surprised at the strength of his old friend, having never seen this side of him before, but he sort of brushes the grip away, but he also lets go of Poppy's ears. He says, get her back to the house now. Get her back to the house right now. And as he walks past him back towards the house, he turns to Vianne, who is still in the crowd, and says, Madame, I apologize for everything you've witnessed today. The day was not supposed to go this way. If you wouldn't mind, we have some local affairs to tend to, and we would be mighty appreciative if you would just make time for yourself, and we will get back to whatever business that you came on. But right now, we need to take care of our own. Is that acceptable to you, Madame?
Understood, Monsieur. And as if nothing at all has happened, Vienne turns with a swish of her skirts and disappears into the crowd.
Harlan takes a long, long look as Vianne walks away.
Cyril storms his way back to the house. As Harlan helps Poppy walk, limp really, her way back up the hill to her home, they walk past Fern, who is still standing, staring down at Lucas's hand, the blood on the ground, unresponsive.
Fern, are you okay, Fern? Even now, as the pain courses through her body, as she's gripping onto Harlan with all that she has left, her only thought is my brother okay?
He turns his head and looks at Poppy and says, What did I do, Poppy? What did I do?
No, you did nothing wrong.
Poppy, what did I do?
You did nothing wrong, Fern.
Poppy! Poppy! His body is racked in sobs as he looks down at the hand and says, Will you forgive me? Will you forgive me?
I don't know, Fern. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Fern, sometimes we've just gotta hold it back until there's time. And right now, there's no time.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay, there's no time right now. Yeah, there's no time right now. Okay. He lifts up Poppy's other shoulder and he helps carry her back up the hill. And as you walk, Poppy, strength returns to your legs, except it feels different. It feels better. You feel faster. You feel quicker, stronger. You feel more reactive. You feel lighter as you make your way up the hill. And by the time you reach your front door, you can shake off your Uncle Harlan and your brother Fern, and you can stand on your own 2 feet as you open the door to your home. As you walk in, you hear the sounds of your father throwing clothes, throwing boots and shoes, throwing all of your possessions down the stairs as he screams at you, You're gonna pack up right now and you are gonna leave. I will give you that one courtesy that I do not take your life right here, mongrel, but you are no daughter of mine. You get your shit and you leave my house.
Oh, I do not have anywhere to go. Please. I didn't.
I don't care, mongrel. You are not living in my house. No beast kid will live under my roof and eat my food. You will leave this house.
I'm not a mongrel, Pa. I'm your daughter. I'm scared.
He continues to throw things down the stairs before he comes back down and kicks some of your possessions, the things that your mother gave you, some of the clothing, the dresses that she gave you. He's stomping all over them as he says, You pick what you want. You pick what you want. You get out right now. I'm not going to ask you nicely again.
And moving at an unbelievably slow, pained pace, Poppy picks through the clothes, picking only her mother's favorite things.
As she does so, she can hear her father not whispering, but not yelling either. Disgusting. Abomination. No daughter of mine is an affront to the wild huntsman. No daughter of mine is a furry freak.
That's enough. That is enough.
No, that's enough out of you, Harlan. You are my friend, and I will give you that respect, but you do not get to tell me how I raise my daughter. And you do not get to tell me what I get to feel. You do not get to tell me what I have to live with and look at every day. I can't, Harlan. If you want to take her with you, you go ahead and do that, but she will not be living under my house.
And the second her father begins convulsing in sobs, Poppy drops all the clothes she had just bundled, every piece of jewelry, the shoes her mom had picked out for her one year, and she bolts. She runs, and she runs faster than she ever had with her new legs, with these new muscles she has now acquired. And she runs to a creek that she used to visit all the time.
As she runs, Vianne, in her fine dress, spots her out of the corner of her eye and wordlessly follows, not saying anything, just staying a safe distance behind.
Poppy, damn it! Damn it! Look what you did, Cyril. Look at me. Look at me.
What? What, Harlan? What?
You're my oldest friend, and I love you. She's blood. There's nothing more important in this world than blood. You don't know what happened to her? You know what did this to her?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Harlan. She's one of them now. She's one of them. She's one of them. I will not have that in my house. And I will mourn my daughter. But my daughter is gone. That thing, that furry freak, that mongrel, she is not my daughter. She is not my daughter. She's not the little girl that I raised. Disgusting. She will leave this village and she will never come back. She will never set foot in this village again as long as I live. Do you understand, Harlan? As long as I live. At this, Fern, who has been standing quietly in a corner, begins to sob quietly, wordlessly.
God damn it. He looks at this man in front of him and he tries to see the confident, funny young man that he fought with so many years ago. And he tries to even see the sturdy head of household that he was a couple of years ago. And he can't see any of it, and it breaks his heart. You don't get a monopoly on grief. Cyril, they lost their mom. I lost a woman who's like a sister to me. She's not dead. Your daughter's not dead. She's out there and she needs help. But if you can't do that right now, and he walks out and he goes running after Poppy.
As Harlan runs and searches everywhere, we go back to Poppy, alone by the side of the river, as she kneels down and looks at her reflection in the waters.
The reflection that stares back at her is horrendous. It's horrifying. It's the face of a beast, an abomination, the very abomination that killed her mother all those years ago. And as the rabbit ears and the elongated nose and the piercing non-human eyes stare back at her, there's numbness. It's overwhelming. And soon that feeling of nothing, it begins to crawl up her until it's disgust. Disgust piling at the bottom of her throat, forcing her eyes to water until she's expelling all of her contents of the meal that she had just eaten with her dad and Harlan and Fern hours before, expelling it into the water. Now her reflection muddled with her own sick and spit and tears. But it's still a monster staring at her. The knife is in her hands quicker than she could have expected. And her own thoughts are catching her up to her at this moment, and without preamble, she begins sawing against the ears protruding from her head, cutting into the flesh that now grows there, and it's not painful. Nothing is painful compared to what she just heard.
As she saws her way through the flesh of her ears, with a sharp flick, it falls into the river. Blood gushing from her head down to her face. And a sigh of relief as she sees this piece of flesh floating away, until she sees the flesh turn to ash, and it blends and mixes into the water until it is no more. And with a sharp pain, Poppy feels from that side of her head, her ear rapidly grow back, the flesh bursting from her head.
No. And Poppy splashes the water now, coating her hands and her own blow up in mossy green liquid. No, go away.
Poppy sobs uncontrollably as a woman approaches from behind in fine clothing.
Oh, Poppy. Oh, shh. You are suffering so much. Come here, my love, come. Cry your heart out.
No. And Poppy wheels around to face the woman. The knife that was in her hand now angled at her own throat. No. It's not okay. Nothing's okay.
In this moment, a voice can be heard by only one person. In Vianne's mind, a voice rings out. All right, little kid, that's enough. You can take the knife away from her.
Vienne, with a flick of her own gloved hand, casually knocks the knife away from yours, Poppy, even though she's standing 5 feet away from you. Her mage hand catches it in the air, and it floats in the space between you. She brings it closer to herself. You must not hurt yourself. You cannot hurt yourself. There is no more hurt that your soul can take. Be kind to yourself, Poppy.
How can I? I've ruined... I ruined everything. And Lucas...
At these words, a tug at Vianne's heart, words familiar to her that have come out of her own mouth.
This price is not yours alone to bear. Poppy, you are important. And you are precious. And you, Poppy, are loved.
The sound of crunching boots is heard from atop the hill as the two of you turn to see Harlan.
Hey, Pop.
Don't call me that.
She's okay, Harlan. She is here.
Miss Vianne. There is a moment, and Harlan thinks back to when he saw her walking away from the crowd, and there wasn't an ounce of surprise on her face. Well, I'm glad you found her. What are you doing? What are you doing out here? Huh? We're gonna fix this, all right?
It can't be fixed. I can't grow back Lucas's hand.
You do not need to be fixed, Poppy.
Excuse me?
The voice rings back in Vianne's mind. Oh, little kid, you should be careful about him. Make sure that he doesn't disagree with us.
Excuse me, ma'am? Look at her.
Vianne looks at this girl, this mess of blood and tears. She sees something of herself in this, too, yes. Something distant, something forgotten. And she also sees potential. She reaches her arms out towards the girl, embracing her in a hug.
I don't know if I can ask to see what her motivation is behind that hug.
You can absolutely ask, Matt, and I want you to roll insight for me.
Is that contested against anything, DM?
You know what? Yes, it is. Vienne, roll deception, please.
Fantastic. We took beguiling influence for a reason, kids.
That's an 18.
Oh,
Wow.
well, that's a 10. So, I see whatever you want me to see. What do I see? What is the intention behind this HUD?
Kaylee, why don't you describe the intent that Vianne portrays outwardly to Harlan?
This girl is on the precipice. Right now, her fate is hanging on the edge of that dagger she just held up against her neck. If she is to survive, she's gonna need some love. And right now, Vienne, a woman in her early 40s, full of maternal instinct and warm, soft caresses, has taken off the precious silk gloves and is running her long fingers through Poppy's blood-soaked hair. A gesture of intimacy that Poppy herself has not felt since her mother died. Shh, 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 shh. Come here, darling. Come here. You're okay.
We're gonna need to get out of here. And the people are, they're wonderful people, but they will talk. We need to go.
The three of you gather yourselves and begin walking south down the road out of Ardino. Poppy pauses to turn her head, take one last look at her home. What is she thinking?
As she takes in the beautifully handmade houses, the quaintness of the village that she has loved since she was a little girl. As she stares and stares and stares and tries to look for anything that is left for her there, she's coming up short. And there's a hollowness in her as she turns away.
And as she turns, and she takes one step forward, and then another, she finds a strength renewed. She closes her eyes, and she hears the sound of crashing waves. She can see the endless horizon, and peering from underneath the waves, the face of a wolf. And that is where we'll end session 1, everyone.
What? Yes. No. Oh my god.
Just happy fun times in the land of
Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
I need to blow my nose. I was tearing up, but Matt, congratulations. You had me sobbing.
Yeah,
Oh my
Matt. Holy
God.
shit, Matt.
You got me, Matt. You got me. That got me. I was sobbing. That wasn't acting. That was actually sobbing.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Okay. I love you all. Let me set a timer here just so that we don't talk about this until infinitum. Woo, okay. Let's
Yeah.
Oh my
Let's,
god.
That was awesome.
let's talk
Wow.
about it.
Jeez.
Carmen, you okay?
Oh my gosh, I was crying real, genuine, actual tears.
Okay.
Oh
You all right?
my gosh. Yo, I'm okay. That's just, you know?
Yeah. So, okay. Full disclosure to the listeners. First off, hello and welcome to
Hello.
welcome to Fables
What
of
happened to
Frost
hi?
and
How
Fur.
are you?
Sorry, we're still in it. Welcome, listeners, to Fables of Frost and Fur. I am your DM, Kenny, and I am joined by our lovely cast, Carmen, Kaylee, and Matt. After every episode, we are going to be doing an after-session talk where we talk about what happened and sort of, getting a bit into the characters' minds, the events that unfolded, what people were thinking, what things that people wish had happened or wish they had said, and we're providing it all to you. So thank you so much for your support. We really, really appreciate it. Please believe me when I say that we could not do this without you, and every little bit counts towards making this the best experience possible for all of you. So from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get to it. Carmen, tell us about Poppy. What happened?
What didn't happen? Holy shit. Poppy is now the most traumatized girl to walk around Alize. Well, that's probably not true. That's not fair to say at all, actually. She's just one of the many traumatized girls to walk around Alize. And wow.
Wow, indeed.
The brutality was awful.
Yeah, I was going to ask,
so
how'd you feel about the...
That was a lot. That was a choice.
Wow. Her nose falling off? Really? You had to do that? You had to put that in there? Gosh.
Oh, it was but you got some Time Lord regeneration stuff going for you, apparently.
Apparently.
I wouldn't really call it that.
No.
Yeah, it's listen, it's definitely not just a homebrewed excuse for me to be able to, deal with the fact that why don't people just cut off their ears and no one knows that they're this minority.
True. Wow.
In fact, you can't.
Body horror.
Amazing.
That's a lovely
Yeah.
little reveal
Yeah.
because we've talked extensively about the history of the world, even leading up into session 1, which, might I add to the viewers, our generous Dungeon Master Kenny has invited the players to help add little bits to the universe, which is just freaking fantastic. That was a surprise. That was a real surprise. That little ear popping back up. I was like, oh, hello.
I'm so happy.
Oh, no.
I'm very happy about that because I definitely
Yeah.
only Carmen and I knew that because we talked about it. We were just like, hey, listen, first episode by necessity is going to focus a lot on Poppy. So let's lay down some hey, what do you definitely want out of this for your character so that I can respect your wishes. And that was definitely Carmen. That was your idea, right? The cutting off the ear thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't my idea, brother. It wasn't me, man.
Well, addendum. It was my idea to cut off the ear. It was your freaky idea to come back and say, oh, but it grows back.
I support that.
Which lends into the fact that this is not just biological, right?
Correct.
This is
Right.
It is a curse.
Right.
This is a curse.
Yeah.
Oh, who else would call it a curse? Excuse you.
Or something.
Excuse me.
This is a thing.
Magic based
This
anatomy.
is a magic. This is not completely physical. It's not completely natural. It is supernatural.
I think it looks fabulous on you, darling.
You would.
Did you? So, Carmen, we talked about the first episode because we really wanted to make sure we're on the same page. What
Right.
surprised you the most?
Oh my gosh. Can I say Matt? Is that respectful? Can I say Matt? Matt's quote of "You do not get a monopoly on grief."
Yeah.
I need that.
I hit
I
hard.
need that on a poster
That hit
somewhere.
hard.
That actually, oh wow, that was that should go down in the Hall of Fame if we make one of those.
Yeah, Matt, I gotta say that line took me by surprise in the best way possible. That's when I started crying, by the way, genuinely started crying.
Yeah,
and
it took me by surprise. So
no, I'm
Wow.
glad.
Yeah.
That hit hard in the moment, and it was entirely appropriate. And I Cyril wasn't fucking expecting that. But you know what? That is exactly what was going on. You're right. You caught it. I was just playing the character. It was he's probably kind of hysterical at this point. But you hit the nail. Harlan, hit the nail on the head. Right. It's a man who is in so much pain, in so much grief. He tries to hide it with alcohol. He poisons himself, and he used to be such a leader, such a force for good and safety in this community. And what happens when you lose your spouse, man? It's like everyone grieves in a different way, and his obviously wasn't super healthy. And I think that was the slap that he needed to hear to break his exterior, like to break that facade of I'm a tough guy, is hearing, you get a monopoly on grief. Those children lost their mother. How dare you? And that's like a slap in the face that I think that broke him. For sure. I definitely made it the choice that like it didn't break him to the point where he would like relent. Right. I don't think that was in character.
That's usually is not what happens, but
exactly.
I mean, and Harlan loves this man. He has known this for forever, right? They are old friends, and that it kills him to see him like this. And these kids, he's known them. He's known them since they were born, and then it's just giving him like everyone else in the family, giving him time, giving Cyril time, and going, okay, but there's just a point where no, you,
Let's pivot. Let's talk about Vienne.
Yeah,
she's so good looking and so mysterious and hot.
Isn't she?
Oh no, it is such a trope, but I love that Harlan immediately picked up on every single little thing she laid down. They make a cute pair. They do. Yeah.
As your DM, I'm not encouraging it. I'm just saying if it happens, it happens. But I'm not forcing it. I'm just.
Listen, if you choose to let Harlan fall in love with this woman, she is not only a mess in a basket case, she is also Savonin. She will kill you.
That is a whole nother. It's not like a can of worms. It's more like a, like one of those, Gatorade containers that just pour on people after they win a game.
Like an eldritch multi-dimensional bag full of worms.
Yeah, it's infinite. There's so many worms there.
I love it. Kitty, I appreciated. We prepped so little for this. Conversely, thank you so much for being awesome and rolling with the punches. I could not have planned any of that better myself, and I'm so glad that you picked on the vibe and just completely played it. As a DM, I praise you, my player, of like, dude, you read the room and you absolutely played it. So thank you. First off,
Vianne's a player.
Okay,
amazing.
What is with the voice in her head? What's going on there?
Let's talk about that. And removing the knife from Poppy's hand.
That was also not planned and fantastic.
That was wonderful.
Yeah, Harlan got there just a bit too late to see that bit, I think.
He did. Yeah, he did not see that.
So, that's going to be... What's going on there?
And for the viewers, all right, I do know my 5e rules. This is like 3 days before 5.5 comes out, and I know that Mage Hand technically cannot be used to disarm something, but my intention was that Poppy wasn't really armed and trying to hurt herself yet. It was more like an object interaction. So
for the people... And for anyone who still objects, I am the DM, and I say, no, rule of cool. You grab the knife from her. Probably won't happen with like anyone else, but this is fine.
The mage had their knives out.
No, you've seen it, right? Like when people are like in shock and shit, and they're like holding an object, but they're not like really holding the object. Right. They're about to
for sure.
It's like,
for sure.
It's like that.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
Right. It's like the same amount of force as picking up like a knife from the ground. That's the amount of force that she used.
We'll go with
please do not come for us, rules lawyers.
Please.
I am
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm you, but stronger.
This is your final form.
I have to say, it broke Carmen's heart to have to reject Vienne the first time when she was being so wonderful and loving and embracing to Poppy. But I just feel like
No, for sure.
the disgust was too strong in the moment.
Yeah.
You put that perfectly. It's going to take some time to warm that relationship up. This is a stranger to you who
She is a
feels like
stranger.
she knows you. Maybe a little too close. You know what I mean? Yeah. You should be weirded out. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, that I don't know if Poppy's in a state to pick that up, but Harlan definitely is. Harlan's definitely like, what
was that?
What is going on here exactly?
Yeah.
But he does see, maybe incorrectly, I don't know, with that insight roll, that this is someone who like is giving comfort to this little girl. I guess she's not that little anymore, but
he's known her. I mean, listen, if you've been around since she was a little girl, she's always going to be a little girl to you, right?
Yeah,
right.
And
so I think it's appropriate.
When she desperately needed it, that kindness, and whatever else, he is grateful for that.
Yeah. And speaking of dice rolls, how was our first roll of the campaign?
Boy,
7.
that was brutal. 19 and a 7?
7, I know. It's honestly thematic.
It's the 19 that makes it bad. If it was 2 7s, it'd be like,
Can you pull apart the curtain and tell us what might have happened if that 19 had stuck?
I would love to.
Yes, please.
If you had rolled and beaten at disadvantage a DC 15, not crazy, a DC 15.
Yeah.
Cyril would not have chopped off Lucas's hand, but what he would have done is he would have taken the axe and he would have taken an eye.
Ooh. Oh, I don't know if that's better.
I don't know
He's
if
a
that's better
blacksmith.
either.
He's out of work now.
Right. No, that's true.
He was going to take out an eye,
And
right?
he
Because
from the description, he could totally rock an eye patch.
Sure, for sure. But most importantly, it would have been the combination of the pleading plus the fact that the blacksmith was already up in his face about, this boy is my property. I've been training him for 10 years. Don't you dare do property damage because we're going to have a problem. And so that combined with the 15 to beat would have been, okay, fine. He can still work, but how dare he look at my daughter and he takes out an eye.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
With him out of work, what happens to him? I mean,
I know.
You guys don't know. You're about to leave Ardino.
I'll haunt Poppy for the rest of her days.
I don't know. You don't know. You don't know if he's ever going to show up again. It's early days.
You don't know. I know, but you don't know.
I have to say, watching the love of your life be mutilated by your own father, it's got to be traumatizing.
It's going to mess you up.
I really appreciate, Carmen, the you leaning into the love. You didn't have to. I gave it there. Like I was just like, yeah, he leans in. You very much could have just like turned away, been demure. Right? Like,
very cute.
You could have, but I like where you went with it. I'm glad you went with it, with the love part, the first love, the special connection.
Yeah.
I'm glad you went with it. I appreciate that, and I hope the listeners did too, because I enjoyed the shit out of it. That was pleasantly surprising.
Yeah.
I didn't know Lucas was going to be sensible and take Harlan's advice under, advisement. Just go.
I think he was never going to take that advice.
I don't think so either.
I don't think he would have ever taken that advice.
It was something that I thought made sense to try at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did Harlan do that? I don't know.
True.
Sorry, what'd you say, Kaylee?
Before things went to shit, we saw a lot of joy too.
Yeah.
That beautiful
so.
breakfast, that family reunion, that like stranger comes to town vibe, like the little friendly rivalry before. Like there were so many moments that I was just smiling ear to ear, just thinking like, how gorgeous is this village?
Yeah.
It's the best place in the world.
It used to be.
I think I really wanted to model it as like the people are good. They're good people.
Yeah.
But they live in a very small world. And in their really small world, conformity means a lot. Small village, word gets around, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, it only really takes one person, one event, one attack to really breed toxicity inside of a community. And then it just spreads like wildfire. And they can still be good people, right? They just have some pretty messed up ideas and prejudices against things that they don't fully understand, and perhaps they don't want to fully understand because it doesn't matter to them. They have a very small world. It's not relevant to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just going to say that those really cute, wholesome moments that Kaylee mentioned were still shadowed by the darker things going on at the exact same time. Always a parallel in play there. Like even the lovely family breakfast was haunted by Cyril's spewing of propaganda of evil, wolfkin down south, and the lovely arrival of a stranger was literally segmented with slaves being moved across in a cart. So
probably propaganda.
Yeah. While there was beauty, like it's still so clear next to the hate in the world, and I think that's it's prevalent now and every day.
Listen, when I first pitched this, and Kaylee knows this because I think Kaylee was the only one that really responded. No, that's not true. I guess both of you, Kaylee and Carmen, both responded to this because I found these two. Matt is an old friend of mine. For the listeners, Matt is an old friend of mine. We did theater together in New York City. And I immediately thought of him when we're tasked with making a cast here. And I found Carmen and Kaylee. And as part of the description, I had put that a big part of my goal for this campaign, it's obviously to have fun, obviously. But, I wanted to make it a bit personal and have it be, near and dear to my heart about a lot of these stories and struggles that a lot of my family went through with colonialism and how that affected my grandparents, and to my parents and then on to me, and to really explore that and to make sure we honor the stories that were told of both the cruel things that happened, but also the hope and the love that was found in the darkness. And yeah, that's my goal for this. And I'm glad even session 1, we saw a bit of that. That makes me happy that you acknowledge it without me prompting you. That makes me very happy.
Yeah.
We're going to have a lot of good things and we're going to have a lot of really bad things.
Yeah.
That's going to be beautiful along the way.
Yeah.
I hope so. I appreciate it. Well, the beauty is going to be in you three, because I love your characters. Let me just say that right now as a DM. I'm a little biased, I am sure, but oh my God, I love every single one of these characters. I am deeply in love with all of them, and I cannot wait to hear them go through this journey. And I'm really scared for what is going to come out of it at the end, but I'm also hopeful. So, yeah. So first post-session talk. Let's hear it. We're going to go around. What are you most looking forward to? We'll start with Carmen. I
am most looking forward to these developing relationships and how they come to be. And, if it's hate or love that we end up with, because it's the journey, not the destination, folks.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Mm-hmm. How about you, Matt?
I mean, definitely that. Definitely just... what's this kooky trio gonna get up to? How are they gonna relate to each other? And like what is going on? How many secrets are happening? I don't know. I surely don't know how many secrets are happening. A lot. Feels like.
Don't worry, there's a lot.
Yeah. It feels like there's a lot of secrets happening.
Who's holding secrets, please?
How about you, Kaylee? What are you most looking forward to?
So knowing already what incredible performers we have at this table and what incredible world builders are creating Alizé altogether, I am most excited for fate, for that twist of the die to send us all in a moment where we go, oh, and have to create something new.
100%.
I think that's going to be kick-ass.
Yes, it will be. Alrighty. To all our listeners, thank you so much again for listening in. We really appreciate it. And again, any bit of help goes a long way. Your support means so much to us, and it helps us be able to commission really freaking cool things. So thank you so much, and we really appreciate it. And we're looking forward to next time. Thank you, and we'll see you there.
Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe.